Hello.
Good morning.
Jen Weller here from Fidelity Title, sitting in for Don Chakowski for Market of the Moment. With me, I have Dena.
Good morning, everybody. I am also not Don Chakowski or Sharon Torhune.
And we have our special guest today, Holly Hedbest from Realty.
And I am Holly Hedbest. Sitting in for Holly Hedbest.
Live, Holly Hedbest.
Live.
And we also have
Mike Serto with Fairway Independent Mortgage. Thanks for
Hey,
joining
everyone.
us, Mike.
Yeah, glad to be here.
And Market Master Mindy, who is the regular. You guys are used to seeing her pretty face every week at Market of the Moment. So we're excited to be here with you guys today.
It's going to be a great episode. It's unfortunate that we're missing Don and Sharon, of course, as always, but I think we have a few things up our sleeve this morning that you guys will enjoy.
Yeah, I think we're going to start with the vote, aren't we, Jen?
We are. So for those of you that know me, I know a lot of you may not, I like to give Don Chakowski a very hard time. So we decided to do a little multiple choice. Where is Don? Is he A, at a pot sticker convention? He loves pierogies, and I think they're pot stickers. Is he B, is he getting married in Vegas? I don't know.
Eloping.
It could be. Or is he C, watching a football game, University of Notre Dame, in the windy city of Chicago? So you guys can cast your vote where you think Don Chakowski is. We'll reveal that at the end. He's going to be so mad.
It's definitely a running joke when Don goes to a pierogi fest and Jen's like, they look the same as a pot sticker. I don't get what's so special about these things.
What's the difference? I don't know. It's the same thing.
And if you guys haven't joined us before, you should definitely keep tuned every Thursday. We are here with the Market of the Moment with Fidelity National Title. We give an update on what's happening in the real estate industry. We highlight some amazing special guests. Holly, I have so many questions for you. I can't wait to talk to you today. And then we give you a little idea what's happening in the lending world as well. So it's a great place to check in every Thursday, no matter if you're in the industry, you're looking to buy or sell a home. Lots of options and great takeaways. And then you'll be able to be in on all the inside jokes about Don, because you'll very quickly get to know a lot about him.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get started and talking to Miss Holly, who I love to pieces. And Holly Hedbest, she's been with Realty One Group and in the industry for quite some time now. And if you're not following her on her social media, absolutely you should. She is a trendsetter. She's somebody to watch. I don't even know how she has time to sell real estate because she is always so busy posting. And I really have come to admire how good she's gotten at it and how she can still do her job on top, because social media is not her job. It's just part of what she does for her marketing. So Holly, I'd like to, in the beginning, just say, how did you get into real estate? What prompted your career and what got you started?
Well, I've been a realtor now for a little over 15 years, and I initially started in it. I'll try and keep it as short as I can, but I always wanted to be a realtor. So even after I graduated from college, it was what I wanted to do. But the idea of no benefits, no 401k, no vacation days, and no income was just too daunting for me at the age of 22. So I went into corporate America, and I worked for several years in the hotel business. And I worked for primarily Marriott and then the La Jolla Beach and Tennis Club. I lived in San Diego. Then I realized that was a 365-day-a-year career and also kind of caps out on your income. I wanted something different. I went into the staffing business, elevated into an executive position, and then I became a mom after I got married. And then surprisingly, I became a single mom. And I thought, how am I going to have this executive role where I travel the country and do the things that I do for my job and be a single mom? And I thought, maybe it's time to go back to something I always wanted to do and take a leap and go into real estate. And so I did when my son was 3 years old, when I realized, I traveled when he was little with my mom. She would come on all my business trips with me and bring him in tow. And I thought, as he gets older, I can't miss the plays, the sports, all the things. And so I wanted to be in a job where I did not travel. So that was really the precipice of moving me into real estate, was one, so that I could be more grounded and home and have that flexible schedule.
Right.
But also just to follow my initial dream and passion of something that I had always wanted to do. So I started in 2006, which, if you could pick the worst year to join real estate, I think that was it. But at the same time, I feel grateful for everything I learned sitting across from those kitchen tables from people who were at their worst time of their life, and we were there to try and help them through it. Was just such a learning lesson, and so just grounded me to really how important it is what we do.
And what point did you bring on members of your team?
Well, initially, when I left my corporate job, I brought my kind of right-hand man with me. And after about 9 months, she just hated it. She was like, I don't like real estate. I like a more predictable schedule. This is way too much of a frenzy and unpredictability. So she left and went back to her corporate role. And at the same time, my dad was going kind of through a transition in life, that my mom had unexpectedly passed away then. And so he moved to Arizona, and he had also always thought it would be cool to go into real estate, and he had his license and joined me. And so we started off with just the two of us. And then about 10 years into it, we really wanted to take that next step. And I wanted to be able to not work, 24/7. And so we brought on Courtney with us about 5 years ago, and she's just been a godsend to add to our team. And from there, we've layered on more people in terms of stagers and so forth to help with our listings, since that's such a focus of our business. And then we have another realtor, Jerry, who's on our team, just to help with more of our buyers. So we've slowly grown a little bit, but my goal has never been to be the biggest. We just want to be very good at what we do and provide the best service. But, when I left corporate America, I didn't really want to manage a bunch of people. I was ready to be done with that and just kind of have my own gig. And I like it, the size that we're at is super manageable. Everybody knows their role. They work very independently, yet we're all here as a team to support one another. So I feel like we're kind of the perfect size.
And Courtney was a fellow mom, right? You guys had boys in school
Yes.
together.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of fell into my lap. Courtney and I met when our boys were in pre-K. So we've known each other for, 16 years now.
Yeah.
Our boys just went off to college. So we had known each other because our boys became friends. We became friends. And she's also an esthetician and owns a day spa. And, one day I was laying on her table getting a facial, and she was like, I was on the phone the entire time as usual. And she was like, how do you do all, like, I'm negotiating a deal with a mask on my face. And I said, yeah, I think I'm at the point where I need to hire somebody. And she was like, well, I'd help you. And I was like, for real? And she was like, yeah, I think it'd be amazing. And so from there, it just kind of was a natural progression. And she went and got her license, and here we are today.
Love it. And that's only been 5 years?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was longer than that.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, and so for you guys that have not seen Holly's social media, especially her Instagram, follow her at hollyhenbest.com. Or sorry, just Holly Henbest is her.
Holly Henbest.
Just at Holly Henbest. And I really don't even know, Holly, how you have time to come up with all the content that you do and all the scheduling you have to do to plan and get videos out and make reels. And you're always know what day it is, whether it's National Pizza Day or National Love Your Dog Day. I'm like, what day is it? I'll just look at Holly.
Yeah, if you ever want to know what day it is, just look to my Instagram and you'll know immediately.
So how do you keep that organized?
Well, I've always been a very organized, list, calendar-driven person. And so, and it's funny, the whole what day is it thing I started, I think it's like 4 years ago. And every year I'm like, I'm not doing it anymore. Like, I've done it to death. Like, I got to quit that. I got to move on to something different. And as soon as I stop doing it, I literally like run into people and they're like, oh my gosh, did you know today's such and such? You didn't post about it. Oh my gosh, today's such and such. So it's like I've tried to get away from it because I just felt like I've been there, done that. But people love it. I do love it myself. So I just kind of continue with it. Although I've tweaked it back a little bit. I don't do every day as often as I used to. But basically, I have a social media calendar that I keep in hard copy. I just have it's right here. I just keep this kind of calendar, and once a quarter, I just go through for the next 3 months and pick out what are the days that I think I'll want to highlight. And especially anything that might relate to real estate, of course, or anything that relates to something that I love in Arizona. And so we just kind of have a goal of some things we want to highlight. And then we hit some of them, we don't hit all of them. It then kind of evolves as to what's happening with our business. And so sometimes it's like, well, today's important news to talk about with real estate. So maybe I'm not going to also post about pizza day or something. So we sometimes kind of curb things based on what's actually happening in the market, but we put together a plan, we put together the photos, and then we schedule everything that we can in advance. And then the rest of it, we kind of fly in terms of what's happening in the moment. I do think, for a long time, I scheduled a lot, like way in advance. Like I could schedule 6 months in advance some of my posts. And I've stopped doing that just because I feel like it is important to be in the moment, and with the market always changing and evolving, I don't want it to sound too scheduled or planned. I want it to be more authentic and organic. So although we have a plan, we don't fully execute the plan until it feels right on the appropriate day.
And what you've been great about is highlighting new businesses, which I think also is a smart thing to do to give back to small businesses that are just getting going. And some of them launched, I believe, during COVID. Like one I tried in particular was Soda Jerk that you had highlighted at City North with the real fun kids drinks and everything.
Yeah.
So I went there because of your post. I didn't even know about it.
I know. I get so excited, like when I post something, and then like last weekend, I had a client that went to 2 restaurants, Friday and Saturday night, that were both restaurants I had highlighted the week before. And I commented on her, and she was like, I never knew about them until you. And so, I mean, nothing gives me more of a thrill than seeing people go to the places that we've introduced them to. But I've always felt like, I'm a mom and pop business. I started with my dad. We're a small company, and we believe in supporting local because it's what we are, and we want to be supported locally too. But also it's all those neighborhood places that make your neighborhood. I mean, if we don't have all these fun, cool places in our neighborhood, it doesn't make our real estate as exciting. And so I think it's important to support those places that make your neighborhood fun and cool. And we have so many people relocating here with us. I just had somebody who moved here from LA, and she's already made a list. She's been saving things on my Instagram of the places she wants to go. So I kind of feel like we're a little bit of like your chamber of commerce for our relocating clients that come here, and even clients that move from neighborhood to neighborhood. And one of the things I always say to clients who are moving here is, if I don't know where there's a Starbucks to meet you, that's not a neighborhood I should be working in. And so I want to know the neighborhoods that we represent and working with our clients. And so we want to support those businesses in those areas, so that when somebody comes to town and they move into their house, I can be like, hey, this is the best place to get coffee or pizza or lunch or whatever in your area. So I feel like it's an important part of our research.
Yeah, why do you love where you live? And here's why.
Absolutely.
And here's all the places I go to, and this is why I moved to this neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Everybody likes walking into those places where people know your name and they recognize you and they remember you. Like that feeling is the best.
Yep. I agree.
Well, and then it keeps you top of mind, which is also smart marketing on your part, because they're like, well, what am I going to do for date night? I don't know. Let's look at Holly's page.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And it gives me a good excuse to be like, well, I just have to go there. I have to check it out.
Because aren't you doing like restaurant week right now, or?
We did highlight that Restaurant Week is happening right now, and we mentioned some of our favorites. I'll be candid, I haven't made it out to many restaurants this week, but if I do, I'll definitely be showcasing those.
Nice.
But duty has really called this week, so so we try and when we go out, we do try and gather information, but we don't always post it at the second. for one thing, putting together the reels of everywhere we go and the pictures and everything does take time. So sometimes I can't do it quite on the fly. Sometimes I can, but you know, there's been a few places we've been that I haven't showcased yet because I haven't had time to put it together, but it's coming soon.
And do you always do it as a reel on Instagram?
Not always. I mean, sometimes we just take photos. It kind of just depends what's happening in the moment.
Yeah.
But I've been having fun with the reels. I feel like part of why our social media is what it is because it is kind of an outlet for me. I have a marketing and sales background even prior to real estate, where I was in charge of advertising for hotels and restaurants. And so, you know, that part of marketing is just sort of in my blood and I enjoy it. And I think it's kind of a nice distraction from, you know, some of the down and dirty real estate stuff that we're doing every day.
Well, that would explain why some of your stuff is so fun.
Right? I know.
I love that you picked the one with us at the donuts.
Oh, they were so fun. Had to. And the puppies.
Yes, of course.
You had
Got
me
into
at
the
puppies, Holly.
I know. Well, I said when we did the pictures with the dogs, I said, well, now my son's gone at college, so I got to start using the dogs.
Right. So what would you say to agents or anyone in particular that because I have a lot of people that are mainly on Facebook, haven't gone to Instagram yet, or they're brand new at Instagram and just getting going. Is there any advice you would give them for making your Instagram account what it should be?
I think you really just have to be who you are and do the things that you want to do and showcase those, whatever your hobbies or activities or time off things involve, just include those, because the point of social media, I feel like, is multi-layered. A, we want to educate our clients. B, we want to showcase our listings. And C, we want to have a good time. But, you know, more importantly, we're wanting people to get to know us. It's really the first step of our interview process is people looking at us online. And they're going to know right away if we're the kind of personality and people that they're going to want to work with. I mean, I'm not for everybody. Not everybody's for everybody. And so when they, you know, look online and kind of see the vibe of who we are and how we represent things, that's really step one of why we get the phone call. So I say just be who you are and do the things that you do and showcase those in the best light possible. And you do have to carve out time for it. You can't not plan social media. It is originally intended for us to show pictures of our kids and have our relatives be aware of what's happening, but it has evolved. I mean, it's an influencer world, it's a marketing tool, and yet we're still keeping in touch with our childhood friends on here to see what's happening with them and their kids. So there's multi-layers to it. And I think you really have to be cognizant of all of those different layers. Like, I don't just post on Instagram things about business. You do know about my family. You know about my dogs. You know about my son. You probably know way more about me than you ever want to know, but it does need to be who you are to let people know if you're somebody that they would want to work with and trust.
Well, and things have changed a lot because before there wasn't social media when we all got started in the business, and now it you have to carve it out and time block it and make it happen. But also that's how people get to know you. And before, I used to always say with people's websites, the first section I would go to is the About Me section. Because
Absolutely.
I want to get to know like what we have in common that we could talk about if you're for me and if I'm for you. And that's
Right.
what social media does, is allow them to feel like they know you.
Well, and I feel like too, it's also important to note that social media is only one platform in terms of a marketing, you know, composition. That we have some clients that aren't on social media. You know, I have a lot of friends whose husbands aren't on social media, but they're making real estate decisions. And we have a lot of people at different age groups that are not on social media, or maybe they're on LinkedIn, but they're not on Facebook, or they're on Facebook, but they're not on Instagram. And I would say something I'm guilty of is I'm not as active on Facebook as I used to. I now personally prefer Instagram. So I do give it more time and attention because I personally enjoy it, but it is a little bit of a downfall because a larger population of our clients are on Facebook. So I think Facebook's incredibly important to pay attention to. And I'm even working on myself to pay better attention to it. But it's hard to, I think you get what you give as well. Like, I can't just be like throwing all this stuff on social media and walking away. I can't expect people to want to engage with me if I'm not engaging with them. So part of the time and effort that's given to social media is that I'm paying attention to other people. It's like a friendship. You can't be one-sided. And so, and I am genuinely curious. Like, I love seeing the kids' pictures and seeing what people are up to on vacations. And it's where I learn a lot. And so you have to also spend that time to be engaged. And it's hard to be engaged on so many platforms. You know, I think one of the hardest things just for everyone, no matter what your profession is right now, people have so many ways to get at you. They can text you, call you, email you, DM you on 4 or 5 different platforms that you might be on. It's a lot to keep up with. So I do think in terms of how you schedule your time, you do have to carve out some time to pay attention, and you have to engage with other people just as you expect and hope that they'll engage with you. I mean, I can't tell you, when I post something on Instagram, if I'm not getting hits and likes and comments, it's devastating. It's like, I want to go on there and be like, do you have any idea what went in to creating all of these posts? And it's like blood, sweat, and tears to put all this stuff together. And then if I don't get engagement, I'm literally devastated, because it is so much effort to put all of that out there and organize it. So, you know, I want that. So I want to be a person who's giving that to others as well.
So for those of you guys who are joining us now, Facebook Live or LinkedIn or YouTube, we are talking all things Instagram with Holly Henvest. And Holly, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
What advice would you give to someone who maybe hasn't really built up a presence yet on Instagram, because social media is overwhelming for them? You know, they connect with their friends on Facebook, they definitely make some posts there, but they haven't really taken, you know, the Instagram dive. What advice would you have for them if they wanted to get started?
I would just start with making sure you can take good pictures, because I do think the quality of your content matters. If you have a bunch of pictures up there that look sloppy, that's not going to be the best representation. So either hire a photographer or get a good iPhone or whatever product you want that's going to take good pictures, and really practice taking pictures. And you could even just start with, is there a neighborhood that you want to be representing buyers and sellers in, and start with taking photos there. Go to the shopping center, go to some of the restaurants, do some of the activities, go for a hike, go for a walk, take pictures of cactus, flowers, trails, food, whatever it is that you might be doing, and just start and just showcase what you've been up to lately. And if it's like your first post, maybe your first post is a picture of yourself somewhere that you love or in front of a house, and just say that you're excited to be here on Instagram, and start to showcase more about your real estate business with your clients, and bam, you're off and going.
Awesome. Thank you. Great advice.
Holly, I have a question for you. How do you know what's a good mix between personal and what you're doing, and then when and how much to drop business in your Instagram feed? What's a good healthy mix?
I think that that's an excellent question. And I don't think there's like a tried and true formula necessarily. I think, again, it kind of comes to being organic in the moment. Like the time this summer when I was going on vacation and getting my son ready for college, my Instagram was very heavy on the personal. I mean, you knew, if you were following me, you knew my journey about becoming an empty nester very up close and personally. And now it's more business related, because he's not at home anymore and I'm adjusting. But I'm also now showcasing some of my personal life in terms of how I'm adjusting to being an empty nester. I've started a food delivery service. I'm trying to get healthier. I'm going back to the gym. I'm doing some different activities. And so, you know, people are getting some insight into my personal life. But at the heart of it, we always want to be showcasing our business. So I think it's important, you know, at least every other day, if not every day, something has some sort of tie-in to Arizona or real estate, because we do want to be an educational platform and an information platform. But especially when we have new listings, we become very heavy on introducing you to our new listings. And so we may take a break from the personal stuff, because I think there are times where honestly, I feel like I could post 10 things a day. And so it's almost hard to hold back and not post too much. So I think, you fill in Instagram with your personal life until you have some important business stuff, and then the business stuff takes over and your personal life needs to take a back seat. But I don't know that there's like a percentage, if you will. I think just being authentic in the moment.
This is one of my favorite, most raw and authentic part. Can you guys see that? See Holly's? Did it pop up?
Nope.
No. But I love
I'm
that
scared.
Dude, it didn't work. I was trying to show Holly's Jake's first day at college.
I saw.
There it is.
It popped up. Yes. Oh,
So this one right here.
And I love the message about authenticity, Holly. And I think you're right. There isn't an exact number, percentage. I think it just has to feel right. And I think once you are engaging authentically, you have a really good idea of who your consumers are, who you're talking to, who your audience is, and you get a gauge for what they're open to and what they're experiencing. And if they know you, your business is a big part of your life. It's not the only part,
Yes.
but it absolutely is a big part, right? You're a business owner. And so there isn't anything that we do in a day that it isn't carried through, right, as part of who we are. And so I think when you're authentic about it and you're truly living your life, there's going to be days where it's more business and there's going to be days where it's more personal, but you don't have to come up with a formula if you're truly putting out there what you're actually doing in a day. And I think that is absolutely what I glean from looking at your social media. You have a beautiful presence online. I own a team of all moms, and so love seeing other really successful women, especially in this industry across the valley. We're going into our planning season, and I'm sure you're doing the same. I'd love to hear, do you have any big projects on the horizon? Is there something new and different you've got planned for the year? I know sometimes when you get into a routine and everything's really working really well, it's like, I just want to do more of the same thing. It's working. I just want to do more of the same thing, but I'd love to know if you've got any new stuff coming up.
So our newest thing is we did just start TikTok last week. And I really wanted to do, So, and the way we are doing TikTok is whatever we're doing in TikTok, we're also going to be using in Instagram and in Facebook, because why have the hilarity only in one place? So I really felt like social media is evolving to the point where we needed to include more entertainment and humor in terms of what we're posting. And so we leveled up. We started last week with a video where we were like, we're leveling up. And so we're starting to incorporate. This morning, we just posted something new. So you'll have to hop on after this and take a look at it, because we think it's one of our funnier ones. But we, again, are showcasing Arizona, or we're showcasing real estate. But our goal was to just level up in terms of a more humorous and entertaining mode with people online. So that's kind of our latest and greatest thing. We'll see how that evolves and what, kind of form that takes. But while we are always looking to do something, new and so forth, I feel like it's important to just kind of follow what feels good to us. And so I'm not a big, sit down annually and plan for the next year person. I'm more like, I get a sense that I want to do something different, or we need to do something different. And honestly, it's usually just that I'm getting bored with what I'm doing. And so it's like, okay, I want to do something new and challenge myself a little bit. So I think that's really where things come from. And, I always say, I became a realtor. I didn't know I'd also need to be modeling. I didn't know I'd have to be an actor. I didn't know I'd have to be in all these videos and
a counselor.
It's amazing. All these hats we have to wear now that we're on social media, but it does, I think, what we do, we try to make it look, buying a house and selling a house are one of the biggest activities people do in their lives, right? It's their biggest asset. It's critical to them. And, we want to make it as fun and as wonderful of an experience as we can for our buyers. But at the end of the day, what we do is a lot of hard work. We deal with a lot of difficult situations. We carry a lot of stress and burden. in trying to make things as easy as we can for our clients, we take a lot on. And I almost feel, for me, part of what social media does for me is just lighten my mood a little bit, to help me on those days where I'm feeling more aggravated or challenged, to have something a little bit light and fun to look forward to. So as much as I want to do social media for other people to follow us and get to know us and learn and so forth, there is a definite part of it that's for me. Like, and I think too, when we hired Courtney and when we grew our team, a lot of it was to make our business better, but a lot of it was for me to have more fun at work. I mean, what we do is hard. And, you know, we make it look easy. That's great. It's like Disneyland. You're supposed to walk through that door. You don't see anything going on behind the house. It all looks like easy breezy, fabulous. But behind the scenes, it's hard. So I think anything you can do personally too, to make your day, your job, your life better, you're going to be better for your clients. And I think that, for me, social media does a lot of that for me.
Well,
I love that. I was going to say, you didn't have to be a model or an actress, but it's more fun that way.
Let's hope so.
When your job is really stressful, so that's a good point too. When you get to that point and you need to take some me time, that's when it's great to do a spa day. But you don't just do the spa day, you also then film it so you can also repurpose it. So you're kind of doing 2 in 1. You're taking care of yourself, getting maybe a massage somewhere cool here in town, but then you also shoot a little video that you can repurpose it for where to do that out. Because we all get to the point where we need that, like,
absolutely,
me time and just to escape from the stress of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Holly. I think that you have added a ton of value. And if you guys are not already following Holly on Instagram, definitely check her out, Holly Henbest, on the IG. And you'll be quite entertained and know exactly where to go around town that's really hip and cool and fun.
We try.
And I can't wait to watch all the upcoming TikTok videos.
Yeah, we'll definitely look at the one today. So
about the weather? Was that about the weather?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Okay. Yep. But see, I love it. That's so timely, because we're like, oh, it's cold for like a minute.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, yesterday was the last day we were going to hit 100. Today our high is only 99. And it's all down. It's all down from here. It's all down. So we're now just in the 90s.
I love it. I love it.
Awesome. So, Mike, what is going on in your world? Did you want to give us a mortgage update on what you're seeing in the market these days?
Oh, absolutely. Gosh, that picture looks like it was from 10 years ago. It may have been from 10 years ago.
Well, I thought about putting the pictures of the kids on there, but then I was like, no.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I feel like there probably were only 2 kids in my household back then. Then we doubled down and went to 4, and now it's 10 years later. You know, one of my favorite sayings is, the days are long and the years are short. And wow, I mean, you know, as your kids get older, it just goes faster and faster and faster. So let's get into a lending update. First of all, let's talk second home and investment properties. And I'll give you a little bit of background. So our former FHFA director had put a cap on the amount of loans that lenders can deliver to Fannie Mae on investment homes and second homes. And artificially, what that did was it made mortgage companies increase their rates on second homes and investment properties because they couldn't deliver all that volume to Fannie Mae. Well, fast forward, we've got a new FHFA director. Our entire industry is excited about Sandra Thompson. And here in the last week, Sandra Thompson has reversed that. So we're expecting that most mortgage companies out in the market have improved pricing anywhere between probably 0.25% in an interest rate all the way up to 0.5% in an interest rate on second homes and investment properties. So if you're the real estate community out there and you have clients that have been shopping for a second home or investment property, it may be a good idea to have them go back and talk to their lender and see if there's an improvement in pricing and to get back in touch with their lender. That's a value add, you know, because now you as real estate professionals know what's going on in the lending industry, and that could cause them to have a better interest rate and a better payment on those types of homes. So again, push those back to the lender. If you're a client, that have been out shopping for an investment property or a second home, hey, give your lender a call, have them give you a quick update on rates. Let's talk about the long-term interest rate market real quick. We're fully expecting to see the Fed pull back on supporting the mortgage market. Technically speaking, that's what we call quantitative easing. And basically what's going on behind the scenes is the federal government is the biggest buyer of mortgage-backed securities, which drive long-term interest rates. So the talks recently have been about the Fed pulling back or easing on the amount of mortgage-backed securities. What does this mean for consumers, though, now that all of that technical talk is out there? What it means is potentially we're going to start to see the long-term interest rates creep up over the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. Hey, we've been talking about this. We always talk about the crystal ball and, hey, wish I had a crystal ball as far as what rates are going to do. But when you study the economics behind of what's going on in the market, then technically we should be seeing long-term interest rates go up and start to gradually increase as the Fed pulls back on supporting the long-term interest rate market. So those are two big things to pay attention to. Also, one other thing to pay attention to, which may be happening here in the next week, is the federal government and the potential of a shutdown. It's like a 50-50 right now whether we're going to see the government shutdown. And if you're in our industry and you may have had some clients be affected by this before, if the government shuts down, that means all of the government agencies are shutting down. And as a lender, what we're talking about here at Fairway Independent Mortgage is things like ordering tax transcripts for our self-employed borrowers. That entire thing could be shut down. And that could affect your self-employed borrowers. It could affect jumbo loans. And then what type of effect does a government shutdown have on your government loans? Do we see a pause with FHA or VA, with any of the services that lenders need to get, for government type of loans? So again, we've been through this before. We know, we're preparing internally. But, on your side as a real estate expert, start having those conversations with your lender and say, hey, what if the government shuts down? Do you guys have a contingency plan? Do we have any clients under contract, that may be affected by a government shutdown? So those are the three top topics I really wanted to talk about today, just to kind of give you a few minutes of what's going on in our industry.
Thank you, Mike. And they always talk about free money on this show. So I got to ask about that. Are you giving money away for free these days?
Always giving money away. Down payment assistance, I love it. It's near and dear to my heart. Unfortunately, the market just doesn't bear a lot of people using down payment assistance. I mean, over the last couple of years, we probably put over 500 families into homes using down payment assistance. I'd love to see us get back to a normal market because, obviously with the lack of inventory, who's taking the brunt of that lack of inventory is our first time home buyers, and the people that, have great credit scores, they have brand new families, they're buying their first home and they just don't have the money to bridge that gap, between what the market bears, and what they can buy. So yeah, there's free money. Unfortunately, it's just not used due to our market, the lack of inventory. And hopefully we started seeing some shifts, obviously. But it'd be great to see some more inventory and some of our local first-time home buyers, get into more houses.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike, so much. And thanks for being here with us today. So I think it is now time for Market Master Mindy to give us her take on the market. What do you guys think?
First, I just have to say in honor of that headshot, I wore the same shirt so that you would be clear who is in the photo and who is speaking. I didn't want there to be any confusion out there. So I, on purpose matched.
She is who she is.
That I'm very consistent. If I am one thing, it is consistent. So Mike, that was an awesome update, and I so appreciate you sharing because I think the couple of things that you touched on really are some of the most common conversations that we're having with people right now. One is certainly those looking to make investments in the investment space. We talk about this a lot on here. This is probably one of the first years that many of our clients have even had the kind of equity in their home to be able to make investment purchases, to be able to build wealth through real estate and leave generational wealth opportunities to the future family members that they have. It's been really an awesome thing to be a part of. And when those limitations came down and it impacted the interest rates, I think that that was really hard for some people to swallow, although, 3.5% is still a wonderful rate to get for an investment property. So we love to see those come down. And then certainly you're right, we have been having the conversations for quite some time about those artificially low interest rates that we have out there for our primary homeowners, because we expected that at any given point they could go up, and we actually were surprised that they hadn't already. So while we'd love to keep them as low as they are, again, an increase of 0.5%, 1.5%, these are all still really great interest rates, but it has helped a little bit the burden that everybody has to bear about the 30% appreciation that many of our neighborhoods have seen year over year. So I'm not surprised about the updates that you shared, but happy that you did share them, because I think it helps put some things into perspective for our clients out there. You're right, from an inventory perspective, also we have started to see some shifts. So earlier in this year, kind of the March, April timeframe, we had about 2,500 listings on the market. Remember, that's for a population of 5.5 million people. So to put that into perspective, we had about 20,000 homes available on the market a couple of years ago. And really 25 to 30,000 homes would be what we would need to be in a balanced market. So remember, a balanced market means that there's a house for every person looking for one. And really, until you have too many houses for the people that are looking, you won't have prices begin to drop. We certainly have seen a change, though, in selling conditions now as compared to earlier this year, because when we had 2,500 listings on the market, people would kind of take whatever they could get. And so we're also selling almost 100% of the homes listed on the market, whereas average is really only 60 or 70%, because not all homes should sell, right? Many are overpriced or the condition is awful. And earlier this year, everyone just kind of took what they could get because they knew that they needed to claim their space and that the appreciation would reflect their need to make some of those decisions. So selling conditions have certainly changed. We hover anywhere between 7,000 and 8,000 listings now. So it's quite a big difference from 2,500 in the February, March timeframe. So we've made some significant gain in a short period of time. But it also looks like we've started to stabilize as a market. And some of that is because we have some very large institutional buyers, those investors, but not necessarily your mom and pops, although we have also been more active, right, in the investment purchase space. But there's some really large investment buyers, Open Door, OfferPad, Zillow, Redfin, Progress Residential. There's probably about a dozen that I would say are really active in the marketplace right now. And they are putting in offers that are extremely competitive. And a lot of them are still in the fix and flip space. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to resell what they buy for the profit that they were hoping to make now that selling conditions have changed a little bit. But a lot of them are also buying to hold for the rental space. And that's because rental prices have gone up about 16% year over year, which is dramatic, and which is why us in the real estate space are doing everything that we can to help our renters purchase, because they really are at the greatest risk right now, especially those who've been in a rental for a long time and their rent hasn't increased as the market has increased. So I know people are in rentals for $1,100 a month. Market rate is $2,300 or $2,400 a month. They're now month to month, which is the folks that are at the greatest risk, because at any given time, someone can come in and say, we're going to go ahead and sell the house now. You've got, your 30 days or whatever it is to move out. So the problem then becomes, instead of being able to purchase on your own time and when it's most convenient for you and your family, even if you're not necessarily getting into something that's your ideal or your forever home, you may be forced to move at a time that is not convenient, especially for our parents out there. It could be when your kids, are in the middle of transitioning from school. It could be in the middle of summer when it's super hot. It could be around the holiday times. I mean, really, we hear some awful stories about, especially our month-to-month renters. And so the hope is that we get some additional inventory on the market that makes some of these moves a little bit more possible for people. But certainly our sellers are already seeing easier selling conditions. They say easier, not a cooling market, and certainly not one where there isn't high demand, but a little less stress for some of our sellers to have a little more options to choose from. The general frenzy feel is not there. So we started really to stabilize, unfortunately, only at 7,000 or 8,000 listings, 11,000 or 8,000 listings. So we've got a ways to go to get to more of a balanced market. And I think it'll take us some time to get there. But I think this is probably one of the best times for people to make a move that we've had all year long. You can still get in for the holidays. You've got more options than you had at the beginning of the year. You certainly have the impetus for a potential changing interest rate that could go up after the first of the year, if not before. And so it's a really good time to reach out and make sure you're working with a professional like Holly, like myself, folks who really understand what's happening in the real estate market, who are really well rooted in the communities that they work for, who can also share these investment buyer offers if you're on the seller side. So not only can we take you to market, but we can also share with you what all of these investors are doing and what they could do for you. Holly's going to know the people in her community better than anybody who runs some type of an online shop. She's going to have the off-market deals. She's going to know when people are going to sell before they actually go to market. So, never have we seen more of an important time. Mike's going to know what's happening in the lending industry and be aware of potential government shutdowns and know how to advise his clients when that comes up. So, never has it been more important to really engage people that have some experience in this type of market. And if you've got those people on your side, it's a wonderful time to take advantage of the Arizona real estate market.
Amy, I've got a question for you. We've got the holidays coming up, and Holly, same for you. For the buyers that have been kind of shut out of the market, they've got buyer fatigue, right? They're like, man, I just can't get a house. We've got, it's in the end of September, we're getting ready to come into Halloween, then Thanksgiving, then Christmas. As a buyer, great time to be shopping. Should they be more aggressive with their real estate agents or not so much? Like, what's your opinion of being a buyer out shopping during the holiday season?
I mean, I don't know what you mean be aggressive with their real estate agent. I don't want anyone to be aggressive with me.
Yeah, it's Realtor Safety Month.
Right.
Yeah, right. Realtor Safety Month. Good point. Please be safe out there. Don't be aggressive with your real estate agent. No. So the truth of the matter is the best time to make a move in real estate is when you understand what's happening in the real estate market. And the only time you can understand what's happening in the real estate market is because you're in it, right? So going back to the crystal ball, you can make some predictions, if you will, of what's going to happen, especially in the short term, based on some numbers. Like, I know we're not going to go from 7,000 or 8,000 listings on the market to 25,000 or 30,000 listings on the market overnight. That's not going to happen. Even if buyer demand continues to quell, I cannot build 20,000 houses overnight. And so I can make some predictions about continued price increases and things like that. But certainly the safest time, if you will, to move is because you know what's happening today. And so if someone's out there looking for a house and they've been looking for a house, the best thing to do is to stay engaged in the market, because the one that you want and the timing, you can only even entertain the option if you're in and you're ready. So that requires, an updated pre-qual. That requires understanding how much you're willing to spend a month. That requires a strategy conversation with your real estate agent about if I have to do a little more or a little less, or if the timing looks like this or it looks like that. If you've had all of those strategy conversations, you don't have to spend your time coming in and out of the market. You're just there and prepared. And then when the right thing happens, you're ready to take advantage of it.
And I would completely concur. And I think that anybody who has buyer's fatigue, you just have to kind of deal with that mentally and figure out a way to just stay in the game. You can't quit, because it's not going to be better for probably quite some time. And it's kind of a pick your poison. You're either going to pick your problems based on not finding a home, or you're going to pick your problems of continuing to try, and you might have some frustration. But I do think that part of it is, being partnered with the right realtor, obviously, to make sure you can make the deal happen, and making sure that you are pre-qualified and understand what your loan situation is to be ready to go. As much as there is buyer fatigue out there, there's a tremendous amount of success. And I'm sure Mindy can attest as well as I can that we have a lot of clients that compete with cash buyers and compete on all kinds of levels of people, and we are getting people homes. So, don't be afraid. And if you're a realtor, listening to this and you have clients that are afraid, give them some coaching and give them some guidance and get them prepared mentally that while they may not get the house that they make the first offer on. They may learn from that how they feel about things, and it will be a good building block for the next one. But also, if you structure the deals right, you can get deals done right now. So don't be afraid of that. And just, you kind of have to go for it. You have to follow your passion of, if you want a house, the only way to get it is to make an offer. You're not going to get it waiting on the sidelines. That's never going to happen. So you might as well give it a shot and go for it and try and make something happen. So don't give up. Don't wait on the sidelines. People on the sidelines never win.
Well, and I think it's important to look at the big picture. I mean, just alone in interest rates, I've got a little graphic I pulled up here that in the 90s, it was in the 8%. In the early 2000s, 6.29. In the 2010s, it was 4%. So, I mean, we're like in the 3 range right now, which is amazing, not to mention all the tax benefits you get by owning a house and having that write-off. When I first bought my condo, when I was single, I didn't even know about that part. And that alone was one of the best things I could have ever done, because I actually got money back in taxes for the first time. There's so many benefits to being a homeowner, and rates are predicted to keep going up this next year. So really, I encourage people that if you're waiting around for the right time, I would hop in before you miss another wave. So
my very first house I bought at a 10% interest rate.
Wow.
I had no clue what that meant. It just was what it was.
Yeah.
What's that?
You knew you qualified.
Yeah, exactly. All I knew was I was getting the house and I was happy with the payment, and I had no idea what I was really doing back then. But hey, you know, there's nothing better than getting those keys in your hands.
Amen to that.
One more follow-up question, and Mindy and Holly, you guys are two of the best agents. For the newer agents out there, you know, that are just writing their first offers, they've been shut out of the market, you know, they haven't had the experience and the wealth of knowledge and the team structures like you guys do. You know, as listing agents, you know, when you guys receive multiple contracts, what are the most important things that you're looking for, you know, in terms of, you know, contract, you know, letters, is it pre-qual, you know, give the agents out there some hints maybe to help their home buyers get their contract accepted.
Well, I think, go ahead. You go first, Mindy. Okay.
I was just going to say, I think
you go.
No.
Okay, Mindy, you go.
Okay. So, you know that we're good people, right? Now you all have seen Holly and I are good people at heart, right? So I would say the most important things is make sure your contract is complete, right? I think the most important part is that what you are presenting to the agent on the other side is a professional package. And just like we talk about an appraiser going out to a house and it's, you know, an opinion of value, and, you know, we prep our clients and we prep the home and make sure that it's all ready for the appraiser to go out there, because they're a human, right? And real estate agents, despite maybe popular belief, we are also humans. And so when you submit a package and it's not a professional looking package, it impacts us. It has an influence on us. And so you want to make sure you're submitting a package that looks professional. It has all of the appropriate documents. Everything is organized. You've written, in my opinion, I'm like a word person. And so if the email, you know, doesn't look nice and well constructed and hi, how are you, and goodbye, thank you, I make some assumptions about what the transaction is going to go like. So I really think how you present yourself to the agent on the other side is very important. Certainly a pre-qual is a must in this type of a market, ensuring that you understand what's happening in the market and can make adjustments to the offer that are indicative of your knowledge of the market. And if they're not, because your client isn't able to do some of those things, that you address that. So I think there's two different types of ways that can come across. If your client can't waive an appraisal or can't do some of these other things that you've seen to be competitive in the market, that's okay. Like Holly said, we are winning deals for clients that are in a different type of a situation, but we're also getting in front of those conversations. Hey, no, you're probably receiving a lot of appraisal waivers on this property, but, you know, here's the story for my client. They're well qualified. I'll also meet you there at the appraisal, even though I'm the buyer's agent, and I'll do everything that I can to get this property to appraise, and I'm on your team and we're going to do this together. And right, I think it's a lot of that communication, collaboration, and the professional image that you put forward.
I would completely concur. As a listing agent, when we get, multiple offers, I am shocked at how many offers would require a counter because of errors in the offer. And so right away, if yours maybe was the best offer and you've got a bunch of errors in it, then maybe we'll talk to you. But if yours wasn't right off the bat the best offer and you've got a bunch of errors in it, you're out. I mean, there's too many that are going to be right. And it's amazing how many people forget the HOA. They forgot the pre-qual. They'll send you another email later. Oh, I forgot to initial this line. Oh, we forgot to fill out that line. Oh, I didn't think of that. Oh, I was in a hurry. Well, we're professionals. And I think when it comes to writing a contract, you need to put on your lawyer hat. You need to be a professional, not in a hurry, not, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot that. You need to include all of the addendums that are required. You need to check all the boxes. The initials need to be done. It is a contract. And I think there are so many realtors that are so in a hurry to get the offer out that they're not taking down the value of it being a contract. And why set up yourself for an opportunity to be countered? Aren't you embarrassed if you get a counter back that says, line 63 needs to be checked, line 74 needs an initial, line 78 needs an initial? Like, come on, let's make sure that the contract is right, that it's accurate, that it's completely filled out, all of the addendums are there, and that there's nothing left to have to be countered other than terms or price or something that's integral to making it a good contract for both parties, but not all of the housekeeping issues. It just blows my mind when we get so many offers. I mean, when I have to say, oh yeah, this is a clean offer, they should all be clean. Nothing should need to be countered that's a housekeeping item. So that would be first and foremost. And then I would say too, like when you're about to enter into a contract with somebody and you're going to be dealing with them for the next, 2 to 6 weeks or however long your escrow is, don't call me 50,000 times and text me and email me asking me what's happening. Like, let's again be professionals. And, I feel like sometimes people are crawling on me, and I get it that you're wanting to do the best job possible for your client, but I'm not going to have an update for you every 5 minutes. So I think, we have to be professional. And again, it comes down to, if you sent me the contract initially that was correct, you wouldn't have to follow up with me 5 times to see if you got your second, third, and fourth email you sent me with all the additional parts that needed to be included. Just do it right from the get-go. And if you're in a hurry, hold on until you can do it right.
I think the beauty of that message, Mike, is that the most important parts are things that don't necessarily necessitate experience. Obviously, the experience that Holly and I have, we believe gives our client an edge. We know the market better than anybody. We know how to market our listings better than anybody. We know how to represent, advocate, and negotiate better than anybody, right? I mean, obviously, our experience sets us apart from our competition. And for newer agents who are just getting into the industry, the idea of being a professional, building relationship and rapport with your fellow real estate agents, going out there and networking and having new relationships with real estate agents, advocating for your clients, right? The core fundamental values and principles of being a good real estate professional do not necessitate experience.
I would just add one thing to that too, that I feel like a lot of listing agents get cocky. Like, hey, I'm the listing agent, I'm the queen here. And I think we all need to remember that we all wear each other's shoes. Sometimes I'm representing the buyer, sometimes I'm representing the seller. And, let's have respect for when we are the listing agent. You've got to have respect for those buyer agents that are hustling out there and who have maybe made 10 offers for their clients and who are ready to be a puddle of tears if they don't get this thing done. And I think we have to have respect for those people on the other side of the transaction at all times, because we're all in this together and we need to respect that and not hold on to offers for 5 days. I mean, if you've got a listing and you've got a lot of offers, why are you waiting 5 days to give people the news they didn't get it? And they're waiting on pins and needles for 5 days for their dream home that they're not going to get, that you knew on the first day they weren't going to get it. let them go on with their life. You know, if you were in that person's shoes, do you and your client want to wait 5 days for an answer? So I think partly, you know, we all have to have respect for one another, and in terms of our value and our time, and also just some kindness. I mean, I can't believe when I do represent buyers sometimes and I'm dealing with the listing agent, like, get over yourself. Like, we're all in this to do a job, for the best job for our clients, but we all can be kind to each other and respectful of each other's time and efforts too.
Love it.
Love that. Thank you guys so much for all of your insight, and thank you so much for being here today. And for those of you who are just joining us or you're watching this after the live, we are taking votes, aren't we, Jen?
We are. Where's Don? Dun, dun, dun.
Dun,
Pot
dun,
sticker
dun.
convention. Is he getting married in Vegas? Susie, is he? Is he?
Is he Vegas? Is he gaming?
Or Notre Dame football game? We confess he's at a football game. Unfortunately, A and B are out. Mom's never going to ask me back on the show again. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us and spending your time. We know time is the most precious thing you can spend. So thank you so much for joining us and spending your time with Holly, Mike, Mindy.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we loved it. Thank you. And good stuff out there. We appreciate you giving back to share to everybody.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we will see you if we ever get invited back. I know Mindy will be back next week.
Thanks, Tina, for being my co-pilot. So. All right. Awesome. Make it a great Thursday, everybody. Thanks.
Have a great morning, everyone. Bye.
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 Bye.